Can you guys share some insight about just how important it is for people out there to pick the right person to be their life partner, whether they're entrepreneurs or otherwise? Because I think it would serve a lot of people to get your guys' opinion on that.
Wow.
No amount of money will solve that problem. You got the wrong person, you just got the wrong person.
So what does the right person mean to you?
Well, they got to be compatible with what, where I'm going, and or I have to be compatible with where they're going, or both. So, relationships, look, just handling my 24 inches is difficult. Add another person to the dynamic, I'm complicated within myself. So all of a sudden you add another person, now you got all that person's complications. Add 2 kids, now you got, like you're talking about, issues.
So what was it about Elena that you made all right, boom, she's the one, she's my wife? It's like, what was it?
Something just like, I had done enough homework.
Research?
I had done enough research, enough experimenting, all in the goodness of experimenting. And I can't go back to San Diego County. So I lived in San Diego and I had to leave there. so I did so much experimenting. So, and so when I met Elena, first night I moved to LA. Okay, this is what I'm gonna go back to. I eat my products. Okay, so whatever I tell you here is what I do in my life. That's all I know is what's working for me. So when I say, hey, a commitment requires time and money. When I made the decision that I'm gonna get married, I sold my house in La Jolla and I moved to LA. And I met Elena the first night I was here. Sold a dream house. Like, nobody's gonna get anything they want without giving up what they have. You have to give something up to get to the next place. Met her the first night I was here, just down the street, downtown LA. I knew 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, bang, that's it. But hey, I gotta tell you, to be honest with everybody, I've said that about a lot of women. Okay, bang, that's it, okay? Now, for whatever reason, this one stuck. It took a little work, a little pursuit. I think she was reeling me in the whole time, playing me like a damn just a one-string little penis, right? And she's like,
what?
Playing me the whole time.
A one-string little
one-string
penis?
violin. I just changed that.
Wow, that was deep.
Because that's what drives that man.
You played him like a one-string little penis. By the way, we peed in the same toilet earlier, and I can attest to the fact that the latter part of that is true.
Hey, I'm proud of who I am, man. Okay, I just work with the equipment I have. All right. So I made 2 beautiful kids with that.
You did do that.
Yeah, no, I know. Now it's worked out. 15 years we've been together. We've worked it out. There's been moments where we really fortified and really strengthened a relationship, and I think that will continue to happen. So we are on the same page. We know where we're going and why. We know what the end play is. So we're not always perfectly on that line. We drift. People come in, start telling us other stuff. We get we were watching Beverly Hills Housewives for a while. We had to quit watching. We were arguing all the time. I'm like, what is causing these arguments? They're coming out of nowhere, man. And we start looking for who's the person. I'm like, maybe it's the shit we're watching. Sure enough, quit watching the Beverly Hills Housewives. Talking about divorce, arguments, you don't pay me enough attention, blah, blah, blah. All that was getting dropped into our marriage and ended up in our bedroom. And so I don't go to Ed about my marriage problems. She doesn't go to her friends. We don't get advice from other people that don't know what the hell they're doing. And we don't read tabloids where divorce is perpetuated. So she's a good chick, man. She ain't perfect. But she's a great chick, man. I'm like, and I'm not perfect. But I'm kind of happy with me.
So if you had to give takeaways, I know there's a lot to it, but if Grant Cardone had to give us top 3 relationship tips off the top, what would they be?
To have a significant other.
The beings have to have a similar vibration. Okay, I know people say it likes, and what is it? Likes opposite attracts. Yeah, well, I don't believe that. I think that's just a bunch of bullshit. I think people need to vibrate similarly. I can't go 500 miles an hour and expect to be with somebody that wants to go 80. Mm-hmm. They're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be like, you need to slow down. I'm going to be like, you need to speed up, and we're going to have this thing. So if one person's on the brake and the other person's on the accelerator, you're going to wear this freaking vehicle out. And that's what I see happening in a lot of relationships. And so the people have to figure out who's doing what, who's driving, where we going, and admire that in each other, right? So a little private thing that I don't share much is that, that concerns me is like, man, if something happened to me, is she ready? Ed sees me hanging around people. I am surrounding myself with more family, okay? Not because I need people around me, it's because I'm planning, okay? Because I can't go on without people, right? Other people they'll carry out my legacy. I tell Jared all the time, what if I'm not here? What are you gonna do if I'm not here? You guys need to operate like Grant's not here. What would Grant do now? And so I worry about that because when my dad died, my mom should have been in grief that week. And my mom wasn't in grief. My mom was in fear and terror, okay? She could not have the grief of losing the love of her life because she was now forced, and this goes back to this broke thing, right? She had to now worry about managing money. And that's maybe where this drive in me comes from. I couldn't help my mom. I was 10 years old. And I just swore over and over, I'll never, ever be in that position again. And it concerns me about her because I'm like, man, if something happened, would she know what to do? So that she doesn't have to worry. So that she can continue to be charitable. It's not whether she keeps the jet because it's already in the will. Sell the jet, sell the house, okay? And then don't touch these jewels over here. And they'll take care of you. But will she be able to continue to give to charities? Will she be able to fund, I have a passion for helping kids that don't have fathers. So we create a foundation. Can that foundation continue to be funded so that kids 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old? I know kids that are 25 don't have dads, man. They need a dad. They go bad because they don't have dads. And drug addiction amongst kids that don't have dads is like 63% of all drug addicts don't have fathers in their lives. Suicide rate, 3 times higher of kids. 63% of all suicides don't have a father. 3 times the drug addiction rate. Like all the stats say a dad is important. So, I told her, I said, man, if something happens to me, don't do these things, do this thing, and go get a husband. And make sure he's good looking as me. And keep Ed close to you too. He's a good dude.
Thank you. I would be there, by the way.
I know you would.
I would.
I know you would.
It's interesting. I'll answer your question in a minute, but I think this is really telling what Grant's saying right now because I was going to say this earlier about the Mother Teresa thing, but it applies with what Grant just said. It's not the events in our lives that define us. It's the meaning we attach to those events. And it's clear that to me, and the more I've known this brother, the passing of his father was this massive defining moment. And he took some meanings from that moment in his life. And one of those meanings involved money. Right, involved the helpless state of his mom at that time. You hear when he talks about that time in his life over and over again. He talks about the difference that it made for him and, the charity that he now supports where, boys without dads. And so that event defined him and the meaning he took from it. And it's been a driving force probably in making him the success that he's become in his life too, right? So what he did is he took a really positive meaning from that, but it's deep with him. He watched that struggle. I'm in the financial services business. I know what it's like when a father passes away. I've had this, in our firm, thousands of times probably. Someone we tried to help, we didn't help. And a dad passes away with a wife and children and no insurance and no money, to his point about, you talk about misery and being broke. And so there's validity to all of that. It's so true, and he lived through it. And so I understand the deep meaning of hard to be happy when you're broke, and that is true. And so I want to acknowledge that version of that because that obviously defined him. So it's clear every time he talks about it. When he talks about it, I look at his face when he does it. It's just that's Grant.
Yeah, I've never seen him tear up.
Yeah,
like
that's Grant. I have. The many times he's talked about that story, and so
You should have that in your messaging.
he should. He does. He does, but it probably should be more. So it's the driving force. It's also uncomfortable when you're a stud dude, but that's the driving force for him. I know that. It's the driving force of his life. His life changed then, right? And so it's the meaning we attach to those events. Luckily, he attached a positive intention eventually in his life to that event, right? And that's why he's such a wonderful dad. To answer your marriage question, I'll just answer something people don't answer. So there's obviously, you got to love each other. You got to have trust, which everybody talks about that, right? Trust. There's two things people don't talk a lot about. You got to be married to somebody who believes in you. A lot of people have love, have a lot of trust, but the truth is, if you really ask the spouse, they don't have deep belief in that other person's capacity to do something special. And so I think in seeking in a relationship or giving to each other, it's deep belief in that other person. It's not talked enough about. Yeah, you gotta love each other. That's like base level stuff. You don't have love or trust, you have no marriage. But that belief thing, that's the kicker that makes it an extraordinary one. And then there's a fourth one no one talks about, but it's just being real. You gotta be attracted to each other. You have to physically be attracted to each other. Otherwise you live with your buddy, right? And a lot of marriages go south because there's no attraction anymore. They're just friends living together. So marriage counsel all the time about, you gotta be great friends, you gotta be great friends. Yeah, you do, but I got lots of friends and I don't wanna lay next to them every single night. You have to be attracted to them and want to be intimate with them. That's what makes it a marriage. Now there's an age and a time where your intimacy may not be sex all the time, but it's holding hands or touching. Or Christiana's parents, when I used to date her when we were kids, I'm sure they were still intimate, but I would walk in to pick her up for a date and you could see into their living room. Such a beautiful thing. And her mom and dad would be slow dancing on a Friday night in the living room, just alone. No one knew. They were just intimate, you know? And so you have to have that in a relationship. And that's the trust and love that's the base. But then do you have belief and do you have intimacy? Are you physically attracted to each other? Do you touch each other? If that's sex, that's a big part of a marriage, right? Especially when you're younger. As you age, if there's some age, I'm sure, I'm not there yet, luckily, but you know, it's holding hands, it's hugging each other, it's just being physically connected to each other. The physical connection is part of a marriage. And so that's a separator.